2 years ago.
When you get into the Senate, you are going to love Mitt Romney. He said last week, he tweeted, red wave is coming, and all of the credit goes to Mitch McConnell. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Did they ever bring the money back to you in Arizona? They ever?
No.
Never. Not a dime.
And I try not to be bitter about it. You know, if I felt entitled to other people's money, I'd be like AOC. It's a good conservative value to not do
Good
that.
for you.
When Mitch McConnell pulled that money, I just said, you know what? That's his business. My job is to win this race with or without Mitch McConnell's money. And I think we're on track to win without, which is just as good in my book.
Oh, I think it's even better. It's better. So, Blake, how can you do things on inflation without passing a budget?
Well, I think we can at least put the brakes on inflation, right? Stop the bleeding. When a boat is sinking, the first thing to do is plug the holes and make sure you don't take on more water. And so just by taking back the House and the Senate, we can put a stop to Biden's demented spending. I mean, he won't be able to get the Green New Deal passed. He won't be able to get Build Back Better. We wouldn't have done the, quote, Inflation Reduction Act, the $700 billion tax and spend bill.
Which just was renamed. You know, that is really the portions of that are the Green New Deal and the Build Back Better bill.
Down payment.
Yeah.
The down payment on the Green New Deal. And so that's crazy. We'll put a stop to that. You know, the other half of inflation is just the consequence, predictable consequence, of course, of Biden's America Last energy policies. You surrender our energy independence, you make war on oil and gas, well, you're going to make the price of energy go up. That makes everything more expensive because everything we need to live, of course, takes energy to make and to move. And so that's going to be harder to put that cat back in the bag. We just need to bear hug Biden's administration and basically hold him hostage until he re-implements the very commonsensical America First energy policies we know we need.
Can you help me out on this? Yesterday, it was announced that a letter went out from Senator Grassley, Cotton, Blackburn, Mike Lee, and Marco Rubio. And it went out to 51 of the biggest law firms in the country. And it's all about ESG. And basically it says, let me quote, "We're writing you about your firm's environmental, social, and governance practice, although businesses would certainly be wise to lawyer up before undertaking ESG initiatives. Your firm has a duty to fully inform clients of the risks they incur by participating in climate cartels and other ill-advised schemes." It goes on how they're going to investigate. "To the extent that your firm continues to advise clients regarding participation in ESG initiatives, both you and those clients should take care to preserve relevant documents in anticipation of Senate investigations." Will you put your name to that?
Absolutely. I think we need to ban ESG, and, you know, it can be slippery. The exact details might be pretty hard, but there's a couple ways to really get our hooks in here. You know, I think it arguably violates fiduciary duties to shareholders when you start privileging left-wing social causes over making sure that a business is making wise economic decisions, right? Yeah. The federal government has a lot to say about where and how pension funds are invested. And, you know, we're gonna use every bit of leverage we have. You can't draft the Fortune 1000 into being this quasi de facto government by getting private, you know, so-called private companies to just enforce the left's increasingly totalitarian agenda. Yeah. We're just not going to tolerate that in a free society.
So, what do we look for in tonight's results? Where are the counties or what areas of Arizona do you look at and say, this has got to go well here? If this goes well, we got it.
Well, if we win Maricopa County, and I think, you know, if everything goes cleanly, we will, that's the bellwether. That's going to really suggest Republicans are going to sweep statewide in Arizona. You try to win Maricopa, or at least fight to a draw. We'll lose Pima County, but hopefully not too badly, and then you run up the score in every other county, most of which are ruby red. The problem right now in Maricopa County, and I'm just dealing with this, about 10 to 20% of the voting centers, the machines aren't working.
Today? We just found this out today.
This morning. It's a lot of people, a lot of patriots are waiting in line to be told, oh, hey, just, find somewhere else to vote. Or if you want, you can drop your ballot in this black box and it'll be taken downtown and counted later. Yeah, the tabulators aren't working. So look, I don't want to jump to conclusions. I don't know if it's a genuine incompetence or if it's something worse than that. But I do know that the Democrats are hoping that it demoralizes our voters and people get sick and tired of waiting and just go home. So my message to folks in Arizona, if you haven't voted yet, if you're waiting in line, stay in line. Stay in line. Make sure your vote is cast. In fact, we need to use this to galvanize more turnout. Pull out your cell phone. Call everybody you know in Arizona. Get them to a voting center. Take some food. Take some water. We have to stay in line. You have to cast those votes. That's how we save this country. Even if they're trying to play funny business.
What is the percentage of machines? Do you know?
Sounds like about 20% of the tabulators, or at least some fraction of tabulators at 20% of the sites are not working. And, the elections officials swear that they tested them yesterday. And it's like, man, I don't know. I don't know what to conclude except we have to overwhelm the system. We have to just have record turnout. We need everybody to get out and vote. Stay in line. Make it fun. Make it celebratory. Make it festive. Bring some tunes. Bring some food. But man, we need to overwhelm this lynch, these hiccups.
Yeah.
This is the last chance.
Well, best of luck to you, Blake. Who's Blake Masters, who's running for the Senate, for the U.S. Senate in Arizona. Highly recommend him. He is going to be instrumental in turning things around, I believe, in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great to chat with you.
Godspeed. Thanks, Senator. I think if we say it like that, it just becomes
Senator.
It just becomes reality.
Really?
We can wish it into
This seems
existence.
a little like witchcraft.
You're not about it. No, I mean, that's what it takes to win. That's what it takes to win. Right. Again, everything. Winning is not an option, or losing is not an option.
Okay. Winning should be an option.
Winning should be an option.
Yeah.
By the way, the Arizona thing, if you remember Pennsylvania on election night 2020, as many people will, where Republicans got off to a big lead and then that was slowly withered away over the evening, people don't necessarily remember the opposite is true in Arizona, where Democrats typically get off to a big lead. The way they count their vote is they're allowed to count the early vote and the mail-in vote, tabulate it beforehand, and they can release it, I think, up to an hour after polls close. So all that stuff can come in right away, and that's going to be Democrat-leaning vote. So what you should expect in Arizona is that the Democrats will lead early as you're watching the coverage tonight, and Republicans will start chipping away at that as we go later on in the
And
evening.
the exact opposite in Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, which they have not changed that law. So the same thing we saw,
They're
thing we saw last time is the same. Yeah.
10 o'clock, remember?
Well, they say they're not going to go home this time. That is the one thing they did say. They're not going to go home for any naps. There's no
nappy naps.
You just keep going. But the same thing where it would appear Republicans would, because they're going to count day of voting first, and they cannot even begin counting the mail-in vote until after the polls close.
That doesn't make sense.
I agree. There's a bunch of states that do it that way, though. There are, 16 states and Washington, D.C. do not allow counting until the polls close. Then there are 23 states that allow counting to begin on election day, but before the polls close. And then there's 10 states that I believe do it the right way, which will allow the processing and the counting of the mail-in vote before, and they never release it. It's a felony to release any results.
Oh, you mean like releasing something in the Supreme Court?
I'm not saying it's perfect, but like Florida is an example of
right,
this, right?
And Florida does it right.
It's sort of the gold standard. Remember, they went
That's
through
bizarre to
some
say.
issues after the 2000 election and actually worked to make the system better and succeeded largely. Again, if you cross your fingers, you never know what election something's going to blow up. But since 2000, they've done a really good job getting the vote counted accurately and quickly. And so it's one of the states you really look at to see what the tenor of the race is. What's the climate of this election? Well, you can get results really quickly from Florida and get a sense. Is DeSantis going to win by 15? Is he going to win by 2? That's going to give you a good sense as to what the rest of the country looks like, or at least give you an indication of that. Where in Pennsylvania, you got no idea. It's going to roll in over hours hours, weeks. I mean, it's going to take a while to really know what happens if it's razor thin close in Pennsylvania. And that's when people start thinking like, hey, what's going on there, right?